Well, y'all, we are back, and just like the 12 days of Christmas, on day 12 here, Moses is giving Pharaoh the what's for, the multiple what's fors, just like, each day of Christmas my true love gave to me. Well, Moses said, hey, Pharaoh, this day, some frogs. This day, some gnats. That day, some flies. This day, some blood. He said, yeah, we're going to get you all that, son. And it got bad because we've got to pass over. Pharaoh ain't going to like the outcome, I feel. He ain't going to like the outcome, son of D. The Israelites did just what the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron. At midnight, the Lord struck down all the firstborn in Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sat on the throne to the firstborn of the prisoner who was in the dungeon, and the firstborn of all the livestock as well. All the firstborn, even probably to a little puppy. But puppies have a lot of puppies in a litter, so I don't know if it was the first litter or just the first pup. Don't know. Pharaoh and all his officials and all the Egyptians got up during the night, and there was a loud wailing in Egypt, because you find out the firstborn are dead, and that's your firstborn. For there was not a house without someone dead. During the night, Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, up, leave my people. You and the Israelites go worship the Lord as you have requested. Take your flocks and herds as you have said, and go, and also bless me. The Egyptians urged the people to hurry and leave the country, for otherwise, they said, we will all die. Now the length of time the Israelite people lived in Egypt was 430 years. At the end of the 430 years, to the very day, all the Lord's divisions left Egypt. To the day God had remembered his enslaved people and rescued them. They packed their cars with supplies. Carts, not cars. They didn't have cars. They packed their cart with supplies. Yeah, their definite cart. And spoils freely given to them by the Egyptians, and prepared for a long, dusty journey. God provided a surefire way for them to stay on course, day and night, but their deliverance from Egypt wasn't complete yet. It's not quite done. By the day the Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud to guide them on their way, and at night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so that they could travel by day or night. Neither the pillar of cloud by day nor the pillar of fire by night left its place in front of the people. Then the Lord said to Moses, tell the Israelites to turn back and encamp near Pi Hahiroth. We're going to give it that. Between Migdal and the sea. They are to encamp by the sea directly opposite of Baal Zavor. Whatever. Pharaoh will think the Israelites are wandering around the land in confusion, hemmed in by the desert, and I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them. But I will gain glory for myself through Pharaoh and all his army. And the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. So the Israelites did this, right? They did. When the king of Egypt was told, that's Pharaoh, was told that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their mind about them and said, what have we done? We have let the Israelites go and have lost their services. So he had his chariots made ready and took his army with him. He took 600 of the best chariots, along with all the other chariots of Egypt, with officers over all of them. So these aren't just a chariot. You got an officer over each of the chariots. I mean, who knows how many people? He had all of that, right? So, yeah. Yep. the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, so that he pursued the Israelites, who were marching out boldly. The Egyptians, all Pharaoh's horses and chariots, horsemen and troops, pursued the Israelites and overtook them as they camped by the sea near Pi-hahiroth, opposite of Baal-Zaphor. As Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up, and there were the Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified and cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Did we say to you in Egypt, 'Leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians'? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert." Moses answered the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring to you today." He's going to deliver them. You know this. The man's got a fiery pillar that he's going in front of him at night. He's got a pillar of smoke in the day. And these guys are like, "I don't know if we can trust this dude. Come on, Israelites. Bad on you. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again." He's telling them this. This is what's going to happen. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. Raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water so the Israelites can go through the sea on dry ground. Dry ground. Think about that, dude. Bottom of the sea, dry ground. I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians so that they will go in after them. And I will gain glory through Pharaoh and all his army, through his chariots and his horsemen. The Egyptians will know that I am the Lord when I gain glory through Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen." Then the angel of God, who had been traveling in front of Israel's army, withdrew and went behind them. The pillar of cloud also moved from in front and stood behind them, coming between the armies of Egypt and Israel. Throughout the nights, the cloud brought darkness to the one side and light to the other side, so neither went near the other all night long. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with the wall of water on their right and on their left. The Egyptians pursued them, and all Pharaoh's horses and chariots and horsemen followed them into the sea. During the last watch of the night, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud at the Egyptian army and threw it into confusion. He jammed the wheels of the chariots so that they had difficulty driving. And the Egyptians said, "Let's go away from the Israelites. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hands over the sea so that the waters may flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horsemen." Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at daybreak the sea went back to its place. The Egyptians were fleeing toward it, and the Lord swept them into the sea. The water flowed back and covered the chariots and horsemen. The entire army of Pharaoh that had followed the Israelites into the sea, not one of them survived. Not a one, it tells us. Man. But the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. This unfortunate escape, no, it's not unfortunate, this unforgettable escape impressed upon the Israelites that God was indeed taking care of them. Enemy horses and chariot drivers were thrown into the sea. The people celebrated and sang for joy. Now just think about this. These Israelites have seen this. They saw all the things that he did to get Pharaoh to say, "Get out of this country," right? They're going to turn. They do. Yeah. And it wasn't even that bad out there in that wilderness. I mean, it really wasn't. These guys, what's up with them? You see the miracles, right? Then Moses led Israel from the Red Sea, and they went into the desert of Shur. Sure, why not? For the 3 days they traveled in the desert without finding water. When they came to Marah, they could not drink its water because it was bitter. They couldn't drink the water, bitter. That is why the place is called Marah. So the people grumbled against Moses, saying, "What are we to drink?" Then Moses cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. He threw it into the water, and the water became fit to drink. The Lord issued a ruling and instruction for them and put them to the test. He said, "If you listen carefully, the Lord your God, to the Lord your God, and do what is right in his eyes, if you pay attention to his commands and keep all his decrees, I will not bring on you any of the diseases I brought on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you." He heals, and sometimes he wipes out. Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs and 70 palm trees, and they camped there near the water. The whole Israelite community set out for Elim and came to the desert of Sin. Bad word. Not a bad word, but a word that means something bad. Sin. Where would they get this desert from? Like what Adam and Eve did? Maybe it's a different word in their time. But which is between Elim and Sinai. On the 15th day of the 2nd month after they had come out of Egypt, in the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt, there we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. But you have brought us out into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death." They ain't starving. Manna, come on now. And quail. So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, "In the evening you will know that it was the Lord who brought you out of Egypt, and in the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we that you should grumble against us?" Moses also said, "You will know that it was the Lord when he gives you meat to eat in the evening and all the bread you want in the morning, because he has heard your grumblings against him. Who are we?" Yeah, who are we? "You are not grumbling against us, but against the Lord." Don't grumble against the Lord, people. Quail and manna. And the manna, they said, tastes like honey, some of it. Then Moses told Aaron, "Say to the entire Israelite community, 'Come before the Lord, for he has heard your grumbling.'" While Aaron was speaking to the whole Israelite community, they looked towards the desert, and there was the glory of the Lord appearing in the cloud. The Lord said to Moses, "I have heard the grumblings of the Israelites. Tell them, at twilight you will eat meat, and in the morning you will be filled with bread. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God." That evening quail came and covered the camp, and in the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost on the ground appeared in the desert floor. When the Israelites saw it, they said to each other, "What is this?" For they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, "It is bread the Lord has given you to eat." The people called these honey-tasting crackers manna, which sounds like, "What is it?" They all received exactly as much as they needed for each day. On the 6th day of the week, they gathered a double portion, for no manna fell on the 7th day. The holy day set apart from the rest and worship, or for rest and worship, not from the rest. Well, it is from the rest, but it's for rest and worship. And so the people learned to trust God to provide for them and lead them to the new land. Well, Not quite. You're about to see these guys. They don't learn. God's clearly showing, right? I'm at 15. I got to go a little bit more because I just got a little bit left in this chapter. The whole Israelite community set out from the desert of Sin, traveling from place to place as the Lord commanded. They camped in Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. So they quarreled with Moses again and said, "Give us water to drink." Moses replied, this is where Moses runs into trouble, him and Aaron. "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you put the Lord to the test?" But the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moses. They said, "Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to make us and our children and livestock die of thirst?" Then Moses cried out to the Lord, "What am I to do with these people? They are almost ready to stone me." The Lord answered Moses, "Go out in front of the people, take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile, and go. I will stand there before you by the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock, and water will come out of it for the people to drink." So Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel, and he called the place Massah and Meribah, because the Israelites quarreled and because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" Y'all, he's going to end up in trouble there because dude maybe didn't come. I mean, I got to admit, that's a part I really didn't understand. It didn't seem like he was being that disrespectful to God myself, not Moses. But I guess God was like, "Hey, you didn't treat me as holy in that moment. Like when you went out there and did this in front of the people, maybe not." If I'm thinking right, I'm thinking that's what part of the story we're in. And that's what stood out to me in that part. Dude, the main thing is God showed himself over and over and over and over again. Just like if we rely on God in our lives, he'll prove himself faithful. And when he does, we can't sit there and question, are you really God? Are you really doing this for me? And he's proven himself over and over and over again. He does just what he said he will do. He doesn't not do it. And so when we see him do it in our life, don't be questioning him. Don't be an old Israelite dude. You got to sit there and say, "God, you are God, and you are an amazing God. And I see that you have done amazing things in my life. And so I am going to be willing to follow you." Yeah, that's all you got to do. Hey, look, y'all, I went long again, but I got you to the end of the chapter. We are on page 57, end of the chapter, 58 actually, 58, end of the chapter, getting ready for chapter 5, new commands and new covenant. So, I love y'all. I hope you have a blessed day. I hope that this day has been amazing. We just saw them come out of Egypt and Pharaoh be put to shame in what he was doing. Amazing. God was showing his power. And in your own life, I bet if you look, you can see where God has shown that power. Love y'all. Have a blessed day. Bye.